If your emergency fund looks the same today as it did 6 months ago, you're not prepared for what's coming in 2026. I'm going to show you exactly why you need an extra $1,000 in savings by April, the specific economic risk you're facing, and how to get there in the next 60 days. This isn't fear-mongering, this is math. According to a recent U.S. News survey, 43% of Americans couldn't cover a $1,000 emergency expense with their savings. The median emergency fund balance has dropped by half from last year. It's now just $5,000. 1/3 of Americans say their savings wouldn't even cover 1 month of living expenses. And we're not talking about building wealth here. We're talking about basic financial survival. And most people are one car repair away from crisis. And even if you think you've got your emergency fund covered, the economic landscape in 2026 is fundamentally different than when you first calculated that number. And here's why April matters. JP Morgan estimates a 35% probability of a U.S. recession in 2026. That's a 1 in 3 chance. Unemployment just hit 4.6%, the highest in 4 years. The direction matters more than the number. Inflation is sticking at 2.4 to 2.8%, still above the Fed's 2% target. The tariffs are projected to raise prices by an additional 1% in the first half of 2026. And Fed Chair Powell's term expires in May, creating uncertainty in monetary policy. This isn't fear-mongering, this is looking at economic data and building a buffer before these risks materialize. But there's another reason April is the perfect deadline. Tax season. For most people, tax refunds hit between February and April. The average tax refund in recent years has been around $3,000. That means if you're getting a refund, you have a built-in opportunity to fund this extra $1,000 without touching your regular paycheck. But even if you're not getting a refund, April gives you a clear deadline before summer hits. Summer expenses like vacations, higher utility bills, back-to-school costs, the ones that start appearing in July, make it harder to save. You want this buffer in place before those seasonal drains on your budget kick in. April also positions you ahead of the second half of 2026, which is when economists expect more clarity on whether we're heading into a recession or if the economy stabilizes. Either way, you're prepared. Now, here's what that extra $1,000 actually does for you. $1,000 isn't going to retire you early. It's not going to change your life overnight. But here's what it does. It creates breathing room between you and disaster. The most common financial emergencies aren't catastrophic job losses. They're car repairs, medical bills, emergency travel, home repairs, or sudden vet bills. A new transmission runs $1,800 to $3,400. But if you've got that extra $1,000 in your emergency fund, you're not putting the entire thing on a credit card at 22% interest. Your water heater goes out. That's $800 to $1,500 for a standard replacement. With that buffer, you're covering it from savings instead of scrambling to find the money or going into debt. Emergency dental work, $500 to $2,000 depending on what needs to be done. Unexpected flight for a family emergency, easily $600 to $1,200 on short notice. And here's the pattern. These aren't if scenarios, they're when scenarios. And when they happen, that extra $1,000 is the difference between handling it and spiraling into debt. But here's where most people make a critical mistake. Here's what K-shaped growth means. The economy is splitting in two. High-income households are thriving. AI stock gains, substantial cash reserves, no spending concerns. Lower and middle-income households are under pressure from elevated prices, slower wage growth, and borrowing costs. And if you're not in that top tier, you need to operate defensively. More cash reserves, not less. Build that buffer now while you still have income. And here's a specific risk hitting millions. 69% of student loan borrowers are concerned that 2026 policy changes will impact their emergency savings ability. Over 40% are very concerned. Potential payment increases of $100 to $200 monthly come straight out of emergency fund contributions or discretionary spending. Build your buffer now before higher payments make saving significantly harder. Now, let me show you exactly how to get there. 60 days until April. You need roughly $17 a day or $250 every 2 weeks. Here's the blueprint. Immediate cuts. Cancel 3 unused subscriptions. Streaming service you haven't watched. Gym you visit once. Software that auto-renewed. That's $40 to $60 per month or $80 to $120 over 2 months toward your goal. Tax refund strategy. File early. If you're getting a refund, direct deposit $1,000 straight to your emergency fund before you see it in your checking. Automate the transfer. Side income boost. You need $1,000 in 60 days. Sell unused items on Facebook Marketplace. Pick up 1 freelance project. Do rideshare for 2 weekends. Work 1 extra shift. This isn't about building a business. It's about generating $500 to $700 in short-term cash. Expense audit. Track every dollar for 2 weeks. Lunch at work? That's $200 to $300 over 2 weeks. 1 grocery delivery fee. 1 impulse purchase. 1 just this once expense. It adds up faster than you think. But here's the part nobody wants to hear. If you're thinking, I don't have $1,000 to spare, I need to challenge that assumption. You might not have $1,000 in your budget currently, but you absolutely have $1,000 in your spending. The question is, what are you willing to trade? Are you willing to skip the weekend trip? Are you willing to meal prep instead of eating out? Are you willing to sell the gaming console you haven't touched in 6 months? Because here's the trade you're actually making. Temporary inconvenience now versus potential financial disaster later. Skipping a few dinners out versus putting $1,200 emergency on a credit card at 24% interest. Most people choose comfort today and crisis tomorrow. The whole point of this channel is choosing different. And if you absolutely cannot find $1,000 in your budget or generate it through side income, that's valuable information too. It means you have an income problem, not a spending problem. And you need to be working on that with the same urgency. High yield savings account, separate from checking. Rates around 3.85 to 4% APY as of early 2026. Use a separate online bank to create friction. Not instantly accessible, but liquid within 1 to 2 business days. Not in a CD with early withdrawal penalties. Not in the stock market where it could be down 15% when you need it. This money needs to be safe, liquid, and boring. I'm not predicting a recession. I'm saying the probability of economic disruption in 2026 is high enough that operating without adequate cash reserves is a bad bet. JP Morgan's 35% recession probability might not materialize, but 35% is not zero. And if you're a part of the 43% who can't cover a $1,000 emergency, you're gambling with odds you can't afford to lose. An extra $1,000 in your emergency fund by April 2026 isn't about being paranoid. It's about looking at unemployment trends, inflation data, recession probabilities, and student loan changes and saying, I'm going to build a buffer before I need it. Most people wait until they're in crisis to wish they had saved more. You have 60 days to not be most people. $17 a day, $250 every 2 weeks, tax refund redirection, 1 weekend of side income. Whatever combination gets you there, just get there. Subscribe because I'm tracking my entire financial journey in 2026. Check out this next video for more tips. Then stop watching YouTube and go check your emergency fund balance. If it's not where it needs to be, April is your deadline.